Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 38 of the J Situation podcast. I'm recording this on November 3rd, 2020. Man, it's election day in the United States today. May the odds be in your favor. I'm actually recording this in a remote location. I was called away at the beginning of this week for an incident investigation. I am currently on assignment in the field. I am recording this from a hotel room. Part of what I do is respond when incidents occur, and these things can be anywhere in the world. I'm investigating an incident involving a fatality. It is a serious thing, and so I am out of pocket right now, but I am returning home soon. So I will be back to you soon, but right now I'm a little tied up, so that's okay. Still doing a podcast for you. I am proud and excited to let you know that the J Situation podcast is brought to you by PEW Science. We always are. We're pushing the silencer industry forward, one test at a time. PEW Science is the largest ever public small arms research cooperative. Most testing and R&D is funded by contributions from the membership, and some testing is funded privately by manufacturers, and some of that test data will be coming soon. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. The suppression rating is in section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard. The standard walks you through gunshot noise, sort of like Wikipedia, but way cooler because it's about silencer sound. There are 6 parts, and they're all on pewscience.com for you to read. If you haven't dug into the standard yet, totally fine. You can skip directly to the suppression rating in section 5, and it lets you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and at the shooter's ear. And don't forget, the suppression rating gives you a hearing safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which they're tested. So you're not going to find this information anywhere else in the world. Go check it out. And when you get to the Silencer Sound Standard in the 6th and final section, that's where all the reviews are. Go check them out at pewscience.com. If you're a manufacturer and you would like to use PEW Science for private testing and or consulting services, there is a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. Go ahead and do that. Your contact data will be held in strict confidence. You can support this podcast, PEW Science, and our testing by joining at pewscience.com with a membership. And man, you can rate the podcast on your favorite provider. Go on iTunes, give it a good rating. Be honest with it if you like. Whatever you want. It'd be nice to say something nice. Then you could let basically iTunes and the rest of the world know that silencers and guns are awesome. That would be great. This is going to be a quick one today since I am literally in a hotel room. I have 3 topics prepared for you today I think I'm going to get into. The first, of course, is Sound Signature Review 625, the Energetic Armament VOX S with subsonic 300 blackout. That's the first subsonic 300 blackout test. Isn't that neat? The first one I've released to you guys, so we'll talk about that. The second is the Sig P226, the old standby. One of the best silencer hosts of all time, in my opinion. We'll talk about that, and I took a picture of that thing for you. It's my personal gun there, you can see, that went along with this episode. And then the third topic, welcome to new PEW Science members. And even welcome to our new manufacturer clients for which we are performing testing. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your business. It is much appreciated. Okay, let's get right into this now. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 625. The Energetic Armament VOX S with subsonic 300 blackout. Okay, so we kicked off 300 blackout. Are you happy? Are you freaking happy now? Or what? Like, are you still not? I mean, look, I picked a subsonic 300 blackout test first, just because I felt like that's something you folks were really waiting for. I could feel it. Well, not only that, but you were yelling for it. I did want something relatable. I wanted something topical, and I wanted something meaningful for you. But I wanted to show you something that would kind of slap you in the face, like perspective wise. You know what I mean? And so that's why I picked the VOX S. You have to keep in mind that I don't know what to expect with these silencer tests. Okay, like no one has done this before, so I don't know how loud these silencers are going to be. When I get a test result, I still have trouble trusting all the results, right? Because I don't have any frame of reference. Like I'm literally flying blind, performing testing that no one's done before. Like this is what I'm doing. So it's for this reason that when I first start to test a platform, I do multiple test series, and I test silencers multiple times to investigate the influence of certain variables so that I can be completely sure that the results I give you on a certain platform are accurate, that they're meaningful, that they're repeatable, so that if someone goes and replicates this later, they'll get a similar result. You know what I mean? And so the VOX S is an example of that. This is one of the silencers that kicked off the PEW Science venture into subsonic 300 blackout bolt gun testing with a mini fix. I've tested this silencer multiple times to the point where I fully understand the performance. I know the ins and outs. Like this silencer in particular is actually one of the most characterized by PEW Science on multiple cartridges and platforms because it's sitting in the PEW Science test specimen library. Okay, that library continues to grow, and as we expand operations, the collection of these standard test specimens will expand as well. It just so happens this is part of a personal collection, so it's always available. One of the interesting things about this silencer is that it would appear that it is designed for subsonic use. It uses simple cone baffles and a thin wall geometry to maximize the internal volume. Okay, and it's also fitted with an end cap assembly to facilitate the use of a wipe. Okay, PEW Science has tested this silencer with a wipe. Like we have done that test, or those tests rather, and so you'll have to stay tuned for the wiped results. I haven't published those yet. Now, the VOX S is a pretty small and light silencer, all things considered. It's marketed for machine gun use, but it can also use a wipe, which is kind of weird, right? And it's pretty short, and it's pretty popular. It's sort of like a rugged razor, performance-wise, I would say, with supersonic rounds, in around the same size package, but without the rugged mount. So, with subsonic ammunition, does it do better than the razor? Well, you're going to have to stick around and find out. You're going to have to stick around and find out how the razor does in a future review. Okay, that's part of the fun here. Now, the supersonic performance of the VOX, and again, we're talking about the VOX S. There is a VOX K as well, which is even shorter than the VOX S. I have not even shot the VOX K. I don't know if that's even really something you guys want to see. We may test that eventually, but that's not even on the list right now. Anyway, back to this. So the supersonic performance of the VOX S, which happens to be the largest VOX available, It wasn't stellar. The supersonic performance was not stellar, but given its size and weight, the performance was not terrible. Okay? So now let's look at the subsonic performance. Okay, the results of review 625, the most recent review. Now, this time when you're looking at the VOX, the rating jumps to 48.4 overall. That's the overall composite rating. So recall that this same silencer got a rating of 29.5 on the 20-inch 308 bolt action. That's back in Sound Signature Review 6.3. Okay, that was a while back. We're on 625 now. The last time we looked at the VOX, we were back in 6.3. Okay? So this actually marks the first time you are seeing a different rating for a silencer for a different cartridge. Okay? Remember, you saw the rugged Oculus in the first two reviews, but with the same cartridge. It was both with subsonic 22. But this time, you saw the VOX on subsonic 300 blackout. So you went from supersonic 308 in review 6.3 to subsonic 300 blackout in review 625. So different cartridges and vastly different loads. Different cartridge and super to sub. So this is completely different. Okay? And again, remember, these are composite ratings I was describing. So to get the full story, you should look at the detailed ratings in each review graphic. Okay, so in this review, the composite rating of 48.4 consists of a 44.4 muzzle rating and a 45.5 ear rating. All right, you'll notice, one thing to notice, think about those numbers. You'll notice that these ratings are a lot closer to each other than the ratings in the supersonic 308 review. With supersonic cartridges, typically, the muzzle ratings are going to be considerably lower than the ear ratings on bolt actions. Now, for this 300 blackout test, the VOX S was tested on the minifix. That's an 8-inch barrel. So a pretty short barrel for a bolt action platform, really. It's a pretty short barrel. Nonetheless, the muzzle and the ear ratings are similar. Okay? So the big thing I want you to take away right now from the difference in the rating from the supersonic 308 test to the subsonic 300 blackout test is the magnitude. Just note how incredibly different it is. Incredibly different. It's same silencer, same caliber, different cartridge, different load. Okay? With subsonic 300 blackout on an 8-inch bolt gun, you can comfortably mess around with this silencer without hearing protection. Okay, it does have pretty significant first round pop though. All right, it has pretty significant first round pop. We'll get to that in a second here. Now, the average sound pressure 1 meter left of the muzzle is 141.8 dB. Okay. I did a quick Google just before I started recording this, actually, just to kind of look and see what others have reported for this silencer. Man, I saw things like for subsonic 300 blackout, I saw people saying 117 dB, 120 dB, ludicrous numbers that make zero. It's not even. It's nonsensical. I don't even know what those numbers were meaning. So, look, it made absolutely no sense. What you need to know is the average for the silencer is around 142 dB. That's pretty much the average of the peaks, and you can take that to the bank. The peak sound pressure is lower at the ear, all right? And members can see that data in the members-only version of the review. You guys can see that. Now, The peak sound pressure is going to be lower with 300 blackout than it is on 308. All right? But so is the impulse. So is the impulse, and that's important because the load on your ears is completely different. All right? Now, one thing that's also different between the supersonic and the subsonic performance of the VOX is the first round pop. Take a look, like if you go to both the reviews, review 6.3 and 625, so if you take a look at the impulse waveforms measured at the muzzle in both those reviews, and you see how much more pronounced the first round impulse is in the subsonic review, the most recent one, it's like way different relative to the other shots. You need to take a look at that. And you're seeing that in pure impulse space. So this isn't like a logarithmic scale. You're seeing that in units of Pascal milliseconds. Okay. It might be that subsonic first round pop is just much more difficult for the silencer to suppress. That just might be the case. Now, for me, if I'm trying to be super quiet, that's sort of a big deal. To me, like, this is actually a bad thing for me. Like, personally, I don't think it's good. Your first round being loud is not really my idea of quiet, personally. Like, that's not something I really think is conducive to a quiet system. To have your first round be loud, like that right away to me is a red flag. For some people, it might not matter. Okay, it really depends how you're using your silencer, right? But for me, it's kind of a big deal. Now, I think we all have our own opinions on that, and we all have our own desires, our own use cases. But I would say that poor first round pop performance with subsonic ammunition, all things considered, like in context, I think it's a detriment to the intent of the platform. Intent of the subsonic 300 blackout platform, that is. Okay, I think the intent of the platform is to be quiet. Okay, like that, like full stop. So I think this is a detriment to that, this performance. Now, another thing to keep in mind, specifically here, is that the barrel of the minifix is only 8 inches long. Okay, I see that as a very good thing for testing silencers. I really do. And interestingly enough, someone else in the industry agrees with me. David, the owner of Discrete Ballistics, he actually agrees with me. We were agreeing when we've talked about this several times over the past year. First round pop is just way easier to suppress on longer barrels. Okay, and it makes sense. The longer the barrel, the lower the uncorking pressure, and thus the quieter the setup. Look, I'm not really interested in using long barrels for 300 blackout because the cartridge is intended for use out of short barrels. As a result, I think 8 inches is an excellent length on which to test performance. You get good terminal performance, like from the projectile itself, from both subsonic and supersonic 300 blackout. Like the cartridges, like the loads, the ammo. Like if you use the supersonic loads from your favorite manufacturer and subsonic loads from your favorite manufacturer, you're going to get good terminal performance from an 8-inch barrel, or at least you should. And so with this 8-inch barrel too, you're not giving silencers a head start by making the pressure super low. So even loud silencers do well. Okay, like that's cheating. I think that's cheating. I think that's stupid. I think you're wasting your freaking time if you're going to start evaluating 300 blackout silencers on 16-inch barrels or something. I've talked about this before, like where I've said that I think testing 300 blackout on long barrels is dumb. I think it's stupid to evaluate a silencer on a system like that because you're just not exercising the silencer, and you're not even seeing what it can do. Because, if you put, I'm telling you, if you started doing every single silencer on a 16-inch subsonic 300 blackout, you're going to be bored, and it's going to make some silencers seem cool, and you're going to buy them, and then you're going to get them home, you're going to put them on your real gun, because who the heck is using 16-inch 300 blackout like a chump? You're going to put it on your 8-inch barrel, and you're going to be like, damn, that first round pop sucks. I'm like, well, should have listened to Jay. No, just kidding. You don't have to listen to me. Listen to the data. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's enough about that. You know my stance on barrel length for 300 blackout. I'm not saying you can't use a longer barrel. Do it. Like my girlfriend's upper on the thing she's building, she finally got her Radian builder set in. Her upper receiver she's building has a 9-inch barrel, which is cool. It's like an inch longer than the minifix. But she's not going 16 inches because she's not retarded. I think one thing that needs to be said about the performance of this silencer specifically on subsonic 300 blackout, and I think something that really bears repeating from the review that I wrote, is that there are silencers that actually perform better than this silencer at the shooter's ear on supersonic 308, like on a 20-inch bolt gun. Like I said in the review, I talked about the Thunder Beast Ultra 9. It's like the Thunder Beast Ultra 9 is quieter at the ear on supersonic 308 on a bolt gun than this VOX is at the ear with subsonic 300 blackout and minifix. Like, what? Like that? What a performance gap! Like that's crazy. Like that's not even the same sport, dude. Like you're not in the same league. You're not in the same sport. Like that's two completely different silencers. One is short, supposedly good for machine guns. One is longer, lightweight, and like doesn't have any first round pop at all. It's like what? Like they're like such completely different products to the point like they're not even worth talking about in the same discussion, other than the fact that like they have very similar performance ratings at the ear on two different weapon platforms, which is crazy. But like that just and I highlight that, and that's not to like say that Thunder Beast is a great brand and to say that Energetic Armament sucks. Like I'm not saying either of those things, trust me. What I'm saying is that there is a wide performance variance in the market. And I want to drive that point home to you, because if you think all silencers are just fine and sound doesn't matter, you've got another thing coming if you want to use a silencer. And I don't understand. I'm telling you, I've talked with a few folks about this over the past couple weeks, because there are some very good weapons developers and small arms developers in this industry who, from a couple companies who kind of have said to me and said to others, well, sound doesn't matter. And in some respects it doesn't, in certain cases. That's a true statement. But I believe a lot of times it's a gross oversimplification of a very complex issue. And I think that a lot of times, in my opinion, it's a cop-out to say something like that, because there was never before such an organized and concerted and rigorous effort to characterize sound. And now that PEW Science exists, you're going to see that sound does matter, because you're going to see in black and white on a level playing field the incredible disparity in performance between certain models, to the point where consumers are going to be like, oh, I never would have even thought. Like there's consumers that have come up to me, that have reached out to me or contacted me or responded to me on social media or whatever you want to call it, who've said, I never would have bought the Energetic Armament VOX if I had seen this review. I said, I don't know what to tell you. Like, a lot of times what I tell those folks is I say, well, don't worry, not, all is not lost. Um, you can put on a short barrel 5.56, wear your hearing protection, and then you got like basically a rugged razor, without the cool mount from rugged. And because the Vox has a modular back end, you can put whatever mounts you want on there, except for a rugged mount. Really, you can shove a YHM mount or a Q mount or a Griffin mount or a dead air mount or a whatever. Pick your poison. There's like a silencer co mount. I don't know. Whatever fits in the back of it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a whole episode on rifle mounts because there's like so many dang things. Like I don't even know what to say. There's like 100 of them, which frankly I actually am not a fan of that. I don't know if you like me personally. Like this is not like a PEW Science opinion. Like this is me, like Jay, like as a shooter. Like I don't miss me with all that garbage. Like I don't. There's like way too many options, to the point of like I don't even want to see some of these options sometimes. I'm just like, why would you even use? I don't know. I mean, it's good on one hand, it's good for consumers, I think, to have options. That's true. But because that thread pitch is kind of standardized now, anyone with a lathe can make a mount. And I feel like because of that, consumers don't really know what they're getting. And they just assume that it's going to be good. And it's like, it's turning into and because they're not regulated, because they're not silencer parts, it's like anyone can make them and just ship them and sell them, and because of the demand for silencers, they're selling like hotcakes and they're proliferating. And it's like I don't know, I just feel like the mount is like actually an important thing in a silencer, like super important, and it can make or break a system. Personally, I think that with regard to accuracy, durability, functionality, weight, it's just like a super important part of the thing. And I just don't think, I don't know. I know it was a long tangent to say that like I think a lot of the mounts are stupid. What I was trying to say about the Vox originally was that it's not that bad. Yeah, it's kind of louder, but it is short and light. So if you treat the Vox S like the K silencer it is, forget this S and K BS, guys. The Vox S is a K silencer compared to the Sam NK. And compared to the Rugged Razor, which is basically a K silencer too. Okay, don't start having these delusions that because it has an S on the end of it, it's like a Sandman S or a Trash Panda. You're gonna have a bad time. Okay, like this is crazy time to think that's stupid. It's stupid. Or Rugged Radiant. No. Or like a Surge in the short configuration, for example. That's another short silencer. That's a short silencer. Like the Sandman S, the Rugged Radiant, the Surge in the short configuration, the Q Trash Panda. Those are short silencers. Those are short. You think they're not short because they're like not little tiny baby ones, and because someone somewhere convinced you that a really really tiny short rifle silencer was going to be like a good silencer or something. And well, they're not good silencers. They're okay silencers to be used on things that are going to be loud, like 5.56. So relax with this, like, oh, I'm going to put a K silencer on and it's so great. Oh man, it quiets down my 300 blackout so awesome. It's like, yeah, it makes your 300 blackout quieter. But if you think 48.4 overall suppression rating is quiet for 300 blackout subsonic, dude, just wait. Just freaking wait. If the quietest subsonic 300 blackout silencer you've shot is the Vox, and you've been in the silencer game for a long time, then you haven't been in the silencer game for a long time. Which means, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know that's a weird thing to say, but what I'm really saying here is like you have no idea what you're talking about. Like if you think the Vox S is a quiet silencer, it's not. It's just not. It's not a quiet silencer. So there are quiet silencers. There's silencers on subsonic that are like, they'll open up a black hole and the sound's going to go into the black hole. Like that's compared to the Vox, that's how quiet they are. So stay tuned. And guess what? It's not just from one manufacturer. And there are levels to this. So buckle up, buckaroos, as I say sometimes. So yeah, what did you expect? I'm not saying it's a bad silencer, but look, it's pretty short, it's small, it's compact, it's light. It's not going to be high performance sound-wise. It's just not. You don't get delusions. Don't be crazy. Don't start thinking, look, I'm not here to piss in your Cheerios. I'm just here to tell you that you need to be realistic. Now, as we move further into the 300 blackout reviews, specifically subsonic, where sound really matters for a lot of you, you're going to see some more surprises. Well, again, surprises for some of you. I think for some of you old school silencer guys, stuff is not going to be so surprising. When you look at this stuff in pure data space, it's pretty black and white, honestly. Look, I'm happy to be doing this. I think it's going to be good for everyone in the long run. It's going to hurt in the beginning. It's definitely going to hurt in the beginning, but it's going to be for your own good. Okay? Trust me. You're going to like it. It's going to be for your own good. Okay. Let's go ahead and move into topic 2. Oh, yeah. I know what? This is actually really cool. The Sig P226, the old standby. Yeah. One of the best silencer hosts of all time, I think. One of the best pistol silencer hosts. As I actually, like, this was like an emergency trip, by the way. Like, this was not a planned trip. When I was packing up to leave, I grabbed like one of my favorite loadouts. I took a photo of it. One of my favorite GATs, my old Sig P226. I bought this gun actually, and you can see the picture if you go to pewscience.com/podcast. All the podcast episodes are there. If you go to my Instagram, the J Situation on Instagram, or PEW Science LLC on Instagram, that's the corporate Instagram account. If you go to the J Situation on Facebook, or PEW Science LLC on Facebook, you'll see the photograph there of the Sig P226. I bought it brand new many years ago. It has a German-made frame it actually has a machined steel slide instead of the stamped steel slide. As a result, the balance, the balance of the pistol itself is not quite as good as the old stamped steel guns. But the finish on the machined stainless steel slide, it's the old. I don't know if Sig still does it. It used to be called nitron. It's almost like, I don't know the exact composition of it, but it doesn't rust or scratch or anything. So it's pretty dang good, and I've learned to appreciate it over the years. It's super durable, super awesome, just really pretty. Really pretty. I like it. Now, this pistol in particular is a very good silencer host. Now, the HK-P30L is actually a little bit quieter than the Sig 226, but the Sig it's pretty close. And to this day, I think it's the top choice for a 9mm pistol silencer host that I know of for a lot of folks. The Sig P226. I really do think, like, for true silencer guys, this gun, I think every true silencer guy has this gun. Has at least one variant of this gun with a threaded barrel. The barrel I have, it's something I added later. It is a factory Sig threaded barrel. Like, I've said this before, I don't mess with non-factory threaded barrels unless it's a freaking factory barrel that's extended and threaded or something. Like, I don't mess with this aftermarket BS. Like, I know there's several silencer companies that are selling barrels that are threaded. No, miss me with that. Unless I absolutely have to, I'm not touching that stuff, man. Like, that's not what I do. So this is a factory Sig one, and it's threaded left hand. So it's a 13.5 millimeter by 1 millimeter left hand threading. And in my opinion, I think that's my favorite. That's the best muzzle threading for a pistol. The piston will index on the muzzle, and not on the barrel shoulder. I don't know if you know that about the metric left-handed thread pistol, but they do not index on the shoulder. They index on the muzzle, the actual muzzle, which is weird. But what's kind of cool is that there's an O-ring you can use in the piston that kind of can smash over the end of the muzzle of the barrel, like not on the index point, but it'll stretch over it, over the OD, which can aid with it not unscrewing when you shoot. And you can also get creative with some other O-ring stuff on the back end, near the shoulder, because you're not indexing on the shoulder. So you can do some stuff with a metric, I feel, that is kind of better than the half 28 threading. Okay. The O-rings can aid with unscrewing and stuff. And so, like you always, okay, silencer people know. For those of you who don't, you always want to double and triple check the tightness of your silencer on a centerfire pistol, like super important. Like, do not just go shoot like 10 mags through your pistol without checking the tightness of the silencer, because you're gonna have a bad time. I guess there's that Griffin cam lock thing now. I actually had that on my workbench the other day. I didn't have time to mess with it, but I have one sitting on my bench. I just have not had time to mess with it. Yeah, not really something I'm super interested in. It's like an interrupted thread system. It's not blowing my skirt up right now, but I might look into that later. Anyway, back to the 226. Yeah, probably one of the most reliable guns I own, I have to say. I've actually never had a malfunction with it, I don't think. I'm trying to think. I was thinking about that earlier today, as I daydream about guns sometimes during the day. I don't think I've ever had a malfunction with my Sig, which is kind of weird. It is kind of weird. Had it for many years, thousands of rounds. It just hasn't malfunctioned. I'm sure it will eventually, but man, this thing just runs and runs, and it's really good. It is really good. Smooth, shoots well for me. Keep in mind, the Sig, it has kind of a fat grip because it's a double stack 9mm before they kind of really figured out how to make that like more slim. The grips that I have on mine, if you look at them, they're actually not the original grips that came with the gun. They're some Sig grips that Sig came out with later that are a little more slim. They fit my hand a little better. That's the good thing about these guns. There's so many dang accessories for them. You can kind of dress them up how you like. I don't like, look, I'm not like one of those Honda Civic drivers that puts a wing on the back of their car, because that's what I feel like Glock owners are. Like, okay, shots fired, but it's true. Okay, I don't do that to my pistols. But with the Sig, I did change the Sig grips to other Sig grips, and added the threaded barrel, and now it's really good. Anyway, pictured with the Sig is my old school SWR Trident 9 silencer. Yeah, still one of the best 9mm pistol modular subgun silencers I think there ever was, or ever probably ever will be. It's one of the best ever. And I don't think, I think, again, I'm bringing up silencer people a lot on this episode, but I think if you talk to any true silencer guy, they're going to agree. If you show me a silencer guy that says the Trident 9 sucks, I question his judgment, because there's a lot of reasons why it's one of the best ever. There are some deficiencies, for sure. I think that with an updated inertial decoupler assembly, I think that that silencer would probably rival the modern designs. I really do. I think, I actually think that some deficiencies some deficiencies in that assembly, in the initial decoupler, I think that those result in some of the newer designs being quieter. But I think on this gun, on the Sig, the Trident is really good, and I have yet to meet many people that don't like the combo. It's not the best, but it is good. You can't buy it anymore, but you knew that because I've shown the silencer a few times. It sucks you can't buy it anymore. I'm hoping the Omega baffle patent will be sold to someone and they use it wisely. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Now, one thing I need to do that I haven't done, but it's coming. I need to do a shootout test series with the AAC Tyrant 9, another thing that's probably never going to be made again. We'll see. The Rugged Obsidian 9, the upcoming Q Erector 9. And do those, compare those to the 9mm pistol reviews I've already released. I have tested the Rugged Obsidian 9, but not on the PEW Science test hosts I want to test it on. So I need to test that silencer again. When I first tested the Rugged Obsidian 9, it was in the very early stages of PEW Science, to the point where I was still flushing out some of the methodology, and it was for a very early industry only test program where I was kind of I was showcasing PewSoft to some big industry parties and showing them what it could do and what we were going to do with it. And I have some of that data in the archives. I'm extremely hesitant to publish it because I don't want to do something that's going to be misleading. And I feel like I need to do it again, particularly with some of the apparatus improvements that I've made recently. And so I'm probably going to retest the Obsidian 9 anyway. So I need to test all these silencers, and then I need to then compare them with stuff that I've released. But also, I did test the CGS Mod 9 SK a while back. I just haven't released the data. So I need to basically compare all that stuff too for you, all in due time. As most of you know, I will be an FFL soon. Soon, I use that in quotes. I mean, as far as I know, the ATF's good with it. We're just waiting on the license. So that's coming. Hopefully 2020 will bring the SOT to completion, and then if it doesn't happen by the end of 2020, it'll happen soon afterward. And then that way, the amount of silencers that PEW Science will have access to, it's already huge right now with our suppliers. But once we have our own SOT, then literally we have access to anything we want because we know a lot of people. So, and then all you guys listening, will be able to send us something too. So if for some reason, if I can't get a silencer for an upcoming test program, I'll just ask you, and then someone will send me one. I'm okay, well, we got that. So that'll be cool. So no longer will we have a problem with, oh, we can't get it, or oh, so-and-so doesn't want to send it to us, or blah, 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 or oh, we don't want to do that because XYZ. Now it'll be well, we just don't have time because there's so many to test. It'll have to go into the next round. It'll end up being one of those things, which I think is actually going to happen more often than not, because the demand for PEW Science data is outpacing capacity to produce the data right now. That's good and bad. And so we're going, I'm going as fast as I can. I'm literally doing this podcast from a hotel room. So it's what do you want from me? So anyway, I don't have a lot of other stuff to update you on with regard to pistol stuff right now, but I will say this. Some of you are going to be a bit surprised with regard to how important host weapons are for performance on pistol silencers. Now, you can't just slap a pistol silencer on any old pistol and get good performance at the ear. All right? And another thing to know is that sometimes the ear performance is going to be more important to you, and having a compact pistol silencer that is louder at the muzzle, it actually might be okay for you. Look, it's going to sound like it has a louder overall signature, sort of, which it does. It does have a louder overall signature, so it's going to sound like that. But the at-ear signature is actually going to be pretty comparable to the at-ear signature with a full-size silencer in some cases, severity-wise. It's actually a somewhat complicated thing to describe. It's going to allow you to really focus on overall suppressed pistol package length, I think, by going with a longer barrel host, for example, like a full-size pistol, but a smaller size silencer. That can be convenient, and it can still perform well for the shooter. You feel me? So you're like, instead of like going with like a, let's say, let me pick a weapon. Instead of going with like a compact pistol, like compact Glock 19 with a compact pistol, why not go with like a freaking full-size Glock and a compact silencer? And then you have kind of like, you have a better host, but you have a smaller silencer, and you're still kind of matching what you were matching at the ear with a full-size silencer and pistol. You know what I mean? I know I'm speaking generalities, but I think some of you who've shot a lot of compact pistol silencers know what I'm saying. Like, if your host is good, like if you're the shooter, you're gonna still have a good time. Now, if you're a bystander, that might be different. So, like, obviously, for absolute like low signature ninja use, like you're gonna want to use a full-size pistol with a full-size pistol silencer, because that way it's gonna be quiet at the ear and the muzzle. Okay, so quiet overall. Now we're gonna have to get into those later. I'm telling you though, I don't know how the QE Rector 9 is gonna do. For example, like performance-wise, like I actually have no idea. I have no idea how that's going to perform, but I do know that it's super light. And super light for a pistol silencer is super cool. Like, I'm telling you, if you don't know that, man, just wait. Wait till you feel a difference in some of these things. You should go hold them. If you're at a shop or something, I urge you, if they let you put a pistol silencer on one of their host guns, I would urge you to do that to like see how different ones feel. Sometimes some are pretty light and it's pretty cool, but some can be super heavy and it sucks. Like, and you're gonna think it doesn't suck until like you start using them and you're like, man, this pistol used to feel really good and the balance was so great. Yeah, well, why don't you shoot a day at the range with it? Pistol silencers, actually, a lot of people hate shooting with a pistol silencer because it changes everything. Changes the way you holster, changes the way the gun feels. You got to worry about it loosening. But if you can mitigate some of those things, like if you can mitigate weight, if you can get a holster and then you can keep it from unscrewing, you can actually have a really great time with a compact pistol silencer, for example, to where it's like still super pointable. It's lowering the report. Like, I kind of want to take some classes with, like, if I could get, anyway, there's a long story, but I think you can do some cool stuff with like a minimal baffle pistol silencer with a compact pistol silencer. I think putting something like that, like a light one, like the Rector 9 or some other silencers on the Sig 226, man, it might be pretty dang cool, guys. It might be pretty cool. Well, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. Now, I am just as anxious as you are to see some head-to-head tests and comparisons, so we'll see what we can get. Okay, let's move into topic 3. Last topic for this evening. Welcome to new PEW Science members and manufacturer clients. Thank you for your support as always. It's really great. Thank you so much. Man, all you members, Again, your support is appreciated. And look, it's going a long way to making this all happen. I say this a lot, but I will continue to say it because I truly do mean it. And some folks I want to start thinking more often is the manufacturer clients of PEW Science, the folks behind the scenes that are contracted with PEW Science for private testing. Your business is appreciated, and it's directly benefiting the industry. It's benefiting the state of practice. It's benefiting consumers because they're going to see your data, and they're gonna reap the benefits of the analysis. Look, the industry is getting pushed forward, and more people will see what certain designs are capable of. This is really, for those of you who work with PEW Science, even if you don't release your data, and some of you don't, what PEW Science learns in the testing and evaluation of your products, it only helps. It only helps because it's broadening our knowledge base. It's letting us get more proficient in our operations and our analysis. It's basically sharpening the pencil. It's making our chops super sharp. Like, anyone knows, when you do something over and over again, you do it more and more, you get better at it. Like, we're at the point now when we test with this most recent test series, about 2 weekends ago now, that we conducted. Like, we're so sharp at what we're doing that, I mean, I think back to when I first started this effort, where we are now, and I mean, it's amazing. And you guys that are funding testing are really going a long way to improve that, and thank you. I'm appreciative of that, and your trust is amazing and appreciated. So this is exciting stuff. Now, I will say, I hope you guys aren't staying up too late to watch the results of this election tonight. We'll see what happens in the morning. I don't know, man. Look, no matter what happens, stay safe out there, folks. Stay strapped. Stay positive. Don't forget to smile this week, okay? Don't forget to smile. I'll be back shortly, guys, okay? I'll be back soon. I'll talk to you folks again soon, all right? Bye.